I'd like to call to order the July 13th meeting of the Shelby Township Planning Commission. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Dallo.
Here.
Ms. DeSico.
Here.
Ms. Casali.
Here.
Mr. Bernardi.
Here.
Mr. Turner. Mr. Apone. Absent. Mr. Vire.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Next item is approval of the agenda, if there are no corrections.
So moved.
Additions.
Support.
Moved by Dallo, support by DeSico. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is approval of the minutes from June 22nd.
So moved.
Support.
DeSico, support by Turner. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, this evening we have four site plans. One, the first one being a public hearing as well. I will ask the secretary to read the notices published.
Charter Township of Shelby, notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the Planning Commission for the Charter Township of Shelby, Macomb County, Michigan, has received a request for approval of a single-family condominium project. Applicant Eugene D'Agostini, Birchfield Court Estates, 38700 Van Dyke, Sterling Heights, Michigan, 48315. Proposed use, 12 detached single-family condominium units. Location, 13150 and 13210 24 Mile Road, south side of 24 Mile Road, west of Shaner Road. Sidwell number 23-07-14-200-035 and 23-07-14-200-036. Legal description is as follows. Planning Commission will meet on Monday, July 13th, 2015 at 7 p.m. in the Shelby Municipal Building, 52700 Van Dyke, Shelby Township, Michigan, 586-726-7243, for the purpose of holding a public hearing on the site condominium application. The application for the site condominiums may be examined at the Planning and Zoning Department in the Municipal Building Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Written comments may be submitted to the Planning Commission at the above address prior to the hearing. Oral comments will be heard during the public hearing. This notice is provided pursuant to the requirements of Michigan Public Act 110 of 2006 as amended. Shelby Township Planning Commission, Jerome Moffitt, Chair, Raquel Moore, Secretary. This was published in the Shelby Utica News on June 24th, 2015. There were 107 property owners and 5 applicants were notified by first-class mail on June 24th, 2015.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Denowith, did the publication meet all legal requirements?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Moore, did we receive any correspondence on this request?
No, we did not, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. The format for the public hearing this evening will be as follows. The petitioner or the representative will give a presentation stating the reasons for the request. Commissioners may then ask questions of the petitioner. We'll then open the floor for any comments or questions, and then allow the petitioner to make concluding remarks. At this point, is the petitioner or representative here? And if I could get your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Bill Thompson from Lehner Associates, 17001 19 Mile Road, Clinton Township. We're representing Birchfield Shelby LLC, and we're presenting Birchfield site condominiums. This is an extension of Forest Grove Drive, which right now dead ends just south of 24 Mile Road, maybe 900 foot west of Shaner Road. It's just a natural extension of an existing street. We're coming back about 600-700 feet, putting in a cul-de-sac. That helps, minimizes traffic in and out of the subdivision in that area. Proposing the subdivision, or the condominium, and I'd be willing to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. How about just a little more detail? How many lots, sizes of the
12
lots?
They meet the R1B
proposed
zoning.
housing, you know, what type of housing are you proposing?
There'll be 12 lots, R1B zoning, 90 by 150, I think it is, something like that. 14,400 square feet. All of them, I think, are oversized, really, as far as the depth goes. The housing will match the existing housing that is there in the Birchfield subdivision to the south. Single family.
To drop that mic just a little bit closer.
Like me.
Oh, or bring it to, yeah.
Okay. Single family, all brick, 2,400 to 3,200 square feet approximately. I've got the builders here if you'd like to talk to them. Other than that, any questions you might have, I'd be willing to answer them.
Okay, good. To the board, any questions for the petitioner?
Chairman.
Commissioner Casale.
Is the existing road, Forest Grove, going to connect through?
It will not connect through to the north.
Okay.
We're taking Forest Grove, extending it north about 600 or 700 feet, and then cul-de-sacing it, so it will not go to 24 Mile Road.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you. This is the only public hearing the Planning Commission will hold on this subdivision approval request. All remarks will be entered into the record for Township Board evaluation. We are a recommending body, and the Township Board will evaluate our recommendation, which is a legislative body. The Township Board will make the final decision on this subdivision application. At this time, I invite anyone from the public to speak for or against or offer their opinion. I would just need your name and address for the assignment.
My name is Ed Fitzpatrick, 52815 Florence Drive. My only question with this is there was some property that was an ingress for Tuscany Grove subdivision that was being
Hang on, just to address it here.
dated for this or something. That was my understanding, that they were taking some of the egress or ingress or something from our condominium complex of Tuscany Grove. And I just wanted some clarification of
Okay,
that.
Mr. Wynn?
Yeah, there will be no connections of the roads between Tuscany Grove and this project. In Tuscany Grove, those are actually private roads. These are public. There was no connection between the two.
Was there some property, though, that Tuscany Grove was giving up?
No,
Okay.
no, these are
That's
two.
the way of the understanding
Yeah.
that I had.
No, there are two acreage parcels that will have been acquired or be in the process of being acquired. They'll be combined, and it'll accommodate this development, separate and distinct from Tuscany Grove.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Can you do me a favor? Oh, will you sign in, please? Thank you, sir.
Is there anyone else that wishes to comment on this? Going once, going twice, three times? Okay, back to the board. Mr. Wynn, your thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a pretty straightforward submission. All the lots meet or exceed the standards of R1B. I have just a few technical questions or comments that relate to the submission. There is an unidentified strip of land approximately 20 feet wide on the northerly boundary of lots 6 and 7. Presume that that's going to be part of the landscape easement, but it needs to be labeled and shown that way. There's some inconsistency in the notes relative to the side yard setbacks. They need to be 7 feet and 11 feet with 24 feet between units. All of these lots are big enough to accommodate those. Entrance sign locations not shown. If they're going to have a separate entrance sign for this, it has to be in those two lots, obviously, and it has to be in an easement of some sort. The 120-foot right-of-way for 24 Mile Road needs to be labeled. They've clearly accommodated that as part of their plan. Sidewalks need to be labeled and identified. There is a landscaping plan for those two lots that back up to 24 Mile Road, but I think the landscaping could be enhanced to give those lots a little more privacy. The cul-de-sac does exceed the allowable length of 600 feet, so we always apply the normal subdivision standards to site condominiums. The only body that has the ability to waive that is the board, and since the county hasn't objected to it, I don't see any reason why we would not want that cul-de-sac link is reasonable. I need to show a uniform garage placement plan. The fire department had a couple of comments regarding the diameter of the cul-de-sac and the fire hydrant spacing. All of these, again, don't affect the design of the site. This is, as a site condominium, there's two steps. Once we get the preliminary done with the corrections in our file, then they're ready to go to engineering. Once engineering's done, they'll return and we'll give it the final approval. So I don't see anything on these comments that would be something that we couldn't feel comfortable approving it, subject to Mr. Thompson. His staff can make the corrections and they can proceed to the next step. And the engineer's comments mostly relate to engineering specifically, not to design issues. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The petitioner, any comments on Mr. Wynn's?
The only comment I'd say is they don't plan on having a sign. There will be no sign for the site. I mean, it would be in the middle of no place, basically. So there's no provision for a sign.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Mr. Thompson, can you clarify something for me? A couple of times you mentioned that the cul-de-sac going back 600 to 700 feet, and then there's a notation of 850 feet proposed.
Okay.
Are you going the 850 or the 600 to 700?
It would be the 850 if it's on the plan.
Okay, thank you.
Chairman, just to answer that, Mr. Turner, I measured it from where that intersection, the cul-de-sac isn't measured from his project, it's measured further into the site where that cul-de-sac would actually start. It's a few lots into the subdivision.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
This is, this evening, we may recommend on this request either approve it, disapprove it, or table it to evaluate the information we receive further. At this time, I'll entertain a motion. I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. First, let me call for a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Support.
Moved and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now I'll bring it back for a motion to either recommend approval, disapprove, or table.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the preliminary plans for Birchfield Estates, number 15-29. All department comments will be addressed with the submission of the final condominium application.
Support.
Okay, moved by Moore, support by Vire. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Commissioner Vire?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Dalu?
Yes.
Commissioner DeSico?
Yes.
Commissioner Casale?
Yes.
Commissioner Bernardi?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next item is site plan number 15-21, Thomas Caruso, 5936 Mile Road. Sure.
I'm the petitioner, Tom Caruso, and I'd like to hand this presentation over to my son, Matt.
Okay. I see he's already looking to get some free advertising too, so.
Good evening. Matthew J. Caruso, 50910 Commons Drive, Macomb, 48042, proposing a 4-bay oil change.
Can I get you to speak up just a little bit?
Start over?
No, that's good enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Proposing a 4-bay Valvoline quick lube off of 26 Mile Road in Mound. It's pretty much cut and dry. We've been doing this for 20 years. We have two other Valvoline quick oil change. One is also in Shelby Township off of 22.5 in Hayes. That's been around since 2002.
Okay.
The proposed site, again at 26 Mile Road in Mound.
Okay. I guess I'll start off with I'll steal a little bit of Mr. Wynn's thunder because, I mean, the real question, I'll tell you what, I'll turn to Mr. Wynn for his thoughts.
Well, it'd be nice if we ever got a full presentation. This site has some pretty unique characteristics that have influenced the layout, and I'm surprised you're not leading with that and kind of explaining the situation. It'd be nice if you brought a board, so if you brought something mounted on a board and came a little more prepared too. I don't know how you're going to do this, but let me just explain the situation, because there's two issues here. The site is really unique in as much as it's triangular shape, which means whatever you lay out here is going to lose some area, not be real effective. The two issues are, the one issue is the setback. And they're showing a 68-foot setback, which is not consistent with what we allow in the LM district. It's 50 feet. And the building observes that, but there's the pavement in the 50 feet, so they would need to seek relief through the Board of Appeals, which is probably justified in this case because the way the site's laid out, there's some easements along that triangular shaped line that really limit their building footprint. So I think there's some reasonable justification. The other issue, which Mr. Moffett and I were talking about earlier, is that plan shows an egress drive to 24 Mile or to Mound Road, which is a great idea, except they don't own the property. And the site plan notes that they were trying to secure an easement, and I don't know what the status of that, so I think we need to find that out right now.
We are currently going to scratch the mound, enter, exit, so it's not an issue.
Well, it's an issue because it's on the site plan. So, I mean, again, what are we considering now? That's
Right.
So that might change a little bit our review, and I'd want to talk to our engineer about it because it's part of that, I think, related to maybe some utility issues as well. So I think this is probably the best plan I've seen for this property in years. People have been looking at it, and it's very difficult, and I think it's doable. I'm just concerned a little bit about making sure those details are correct, and they need to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals, so I think it might be a little bit premature until we get all these things resolved. Generally supportive of it, but I want to make sure we got the details correct.
Yeah, so really either way, I don't think we could go forward with this, because either one, you're presenting us a plan, part of which property you don't own, so we can't really react. And then, or if you're saying, okay, we're not going to do that, now we have a plan that does, you're going to submit something that.
We're assuming it's cost prohibitive for us to put that driveway in the entrance out, going out to Mountain Road. We don't think we can afford to do it, first of all. We've gotten approval from our neighbor. Second thing is the easements along the triangular shape of the property. There's an 80-foot easement for, it was issued to the railroad company back maybe a century ago or close to that. And in addition to that, there's another 100-foot easement with an 8-foot water main running through that. So that restricts the building area almost to the point where we have the oil change located, which is very minimal. We're able to use the part of the water main easement for parking. Very minimal parking.
Didn't the rail line deed that over to the Trailway Commission?
I believe so.
Now, would that easement have followed that?
Yeah, but that's irrelevant because it's at the back end of the property, and the water main easement would sort of supersede us building any further back.
Chairman?
Mr. Wynn?
Nevertheless, when you have those site characteristics, you need to lead with that because it's really important. I think it justifies your site plan. And you better lead with that when you come to the Zoning Board of Appeals because that's a site condition that would perhaps justify a variance, but unless you can justify it by your presentation, I'm not justifying it on your behalf. You need to come in and be prepared, and you're really not prepared tonight. I think we should just postpone this until we get the setback issue resolved through the Board of Appeals, and they come back with a site plan that reflects what they want to do, not what they're not going to do.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Vire?
Why are we getting comments from the engineer dated July 10th?
Yeah, we already got a preliminary review. It's like we did the review twice. I'm not sure why we got those because we already had one in file.
How could you include the engineer's comments in the packet if you don't get it until 3 days before the meeting?
Yeah, I'm surprised we got that then too. But
this question must be asked of the
fair.
engineer.
It's fair. I will ask that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for the petitioner?
Mr. Chairman, did I hear the applicant indicating you getting an easement through the neighbor, the next door neighbor to your property?
Yes, he verbally approved it, but we don't think we're going to be able to go ahead with that because of the cost involved. It's the driveway all the way from the parking lot all the way out to the street with some type of egress adjacent to Mound Road. So I don't think we're going to be able to afford it. It borders on irrelevancy also.
Mr. Wynn? I don't know about that. It changes entirely, that access to your property and the flow through the property, what impact that's going to have on the car wash. So, that's why, that's just another reason to postpone it, is because this is a totally different, plan that way.
Chairman, I think the project can stand on its own without that, but I thought there was some concern regarding maybe utilities out through there. That's what I want to clarify because I think it might have had more implications than just this. And again, I think this was it's a decent proposal for this. They're not trying to overbuild it. This is a challenging site, and I think they've shown restraint. They're not trying to put too big a footprint on here. I just, I don't want to reconcile the details afterwards. I don't think that's our job. That's their job.
Yeah. No, and given what's in that area, it makes perfect sense.
A great
Between
use at that
collision,
location.
You get a car wash and, and a coach. No, that's not the issue, but we need to know what we're approving. Any other questions?
To Mr. Nguyen, if they finalize the entrance through the neighboring, would they still need to go through Board of Zoning?
Yes, they do, Mr. Dallow, because it's a setback variance from 26 Mile Road that they need to achieve.
Thank you.
And again, I think they have ample justification for that. I really do.
Any other questions? I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Turner.
I'll move to postpone action on site plan number 15-21 for Thomas Caruso until the setback issue along 26 Mile Road is resolved with the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Support.
Moved by Turner, support by Moore. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Commissioner Vire?
Yes.
Commissioner Dallow?
Yes.
Commissioner DeSico?
Yes.
Commissioner Casale?
Yes.
Commissioner Bernardi?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Okay, we look forward to seeing you next month. Okay, next item, site plan number 15-31, Terry Measel, A&B Liquor and Lotto.
My name's Terry Measel, the architect. 42017 Farm Lane Court, Sterling Heights. 48313.
Okay, and what are you requesting this evening? You're going to have to talk because we can't see that, so I can't see that.
Apologize for the smallness of it, but it fits very well on that size paper. What we're asking for is site plan approval on A&B Liquor Store. It's on Van Dyke, and we are adding to the building. The site is not changing at all. The parking lot is already existing, and we're just putting on an addition.
It's our wizards in the cage.
Yes. I assumed that would happen. Willing to answer any questions that board may have.
What exactly, your how big of an addition
45 by 40.
for the addition?
Pardon?
Isn't this a case where there was it was where the tile field was? And
Yes.
Now that the owners tapped into the.
We've established a connection to the city sewers, so we can now build in this area. And it will be divided into 2 suites, which are already leased.
Okay. See, we get this stuff, but we actually tape this, so I figured if you can explain it, then people know what the heck we're talking about.
Okay.
So. All right. Any questions for the petitioner? Mr. Nguyen?
Yeah, I would agree. It's a fairly straightforward submission. We did accept a smaller site plan in this case, the normal size because of the scale of the addition. Just a couple of comments. Again, this is feasible for zoning purposes. The building addition shows a 1-foot setback to the north property line, and the zoning ordinance allows either a 0 setback or have to maintain 5 feet. I talked to Mr. Measel, and they're going to just take it to the property line and build a fire-rated wall on the north side. So that just gives them more square footage. There's not a lot of landscaping on the site, and there are some opportunities for it, either in the frontage along Van Dyke in the right-of-way or on the side of the building, and we'd certainly like to ask the applicant to take advantage of those opportunities to kind of give the site a little more visual appeal for landscaping. The building's very well maintained and very attractive. I would suggest that the quantity of window signage exceeds what we allowed. It's only 50%, so we'd like to see that code issue modified. There's a used clothing bin on the site. We don't allow those, and oftentimes people just drop them on there without the applicants really knowing what approval process, so that needs to be removed. And then the existing HVAC equipment on the roof will need to be screened so it's not visible from the neighbors. So again, this is a good this is one of those good opportunities where sewer came in, we're getting a building expansion. I've talked to the owner about this many times in the past, and I know he's looking forward to that, and he's been a very cooperative applicant, and as his architect has been as well. So I don't have any problem recommending approval of this one.
Great. Any objections to anything that Mr. Nguyen raised?
No, we have no objections. We would comply with all of his requests.
Okay, very good. If there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Came in late.
Chair,
Commissioner Moore.
I move to approve the site plan for the building addition to A&B Party Store, site plan number 15-31, subject to the submission of a revised plan addressing all department comments.
Support.
Okay, moved by Moore, support by Turner. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Commissioner Moore.
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Commissioner Vire.
Yes.
Commissioner Dallow.
Yes.
Commissioner DeSico.
Yes.
Commissioner Casale.
Yes.
Commissioner Bernardi.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is site plan number 14-29, Shelby Point Village, multiple family, requesting a revision to the building elevations.
Eric's. It's nice making it tight, sir. You're adding more brick.
Yeah.
Good evening. Bill Mosier with Apex Engineering Group on behalf of the petitioner Selmar. We had a previous site plan approval on this, and we've also gone on the Zoning Board of Appeals for some site issues. And in discussions finalizing the building plans, the owner has opted to change the building elevations. We're taking away most of the siding and adding cedar shake and brick. And Mr. Nguyen felt that give you an opportunity to comment on the revised plans.
Bill, can you show, Mr. McCaskey, could you show where the brick is going to be?
Kevin Brandon is the architect of BMK, and he's going to point those out.
Yeah, Kevin Brandon, 208 South Alice, Rochester, 48307.
Take it with you.
Take it. We'll play some musical boards tonight, but the first change, we have 4 changes, and they're very minor, and I think they're more material orientated, and I think they're for the positive. The first change and the major change, and again, it was kind of looking at it when we did the initial design and the sketches, but when you did the rendering, it really popped out to me that, but we didn't, we were committed at the time. So the first change is these end gables. What we ended up doing was, if you can see here in your packet, we ended up bricking them all. And I feel that the contrast there between the stone and the brick is a little better than the siding, because they were very, very close in color. So it gives a better contrast. And I think it's better, it bookends the building. And that's the same for both sides of the building. Again, these were, oops, help me out, Bill. How about we do this? Put that one, yeah. Again, very similar to the same side. It's very symmetrical. And then in doing that, what we decided to do too was turn the corner and run the brick all the way down to the central cantilevers, just to continue the brick.
You're going to need to lift that up.
Here?
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
So we turned the corner, more brick. So again, went from siding to brick. In this portion, okay. Yeah, well, we increased the size of the porches, but those were minor. Just we made them a little bigger. In the central gable, we just arched the window, a minor thing. Let me do this one again. We put arches over each of those 2 windows on each end, and again on the other side. And I think the only other change we did was we added cedar siding, but I believe it's on this side here.
Okay, put that back up, put it down on the easel. There you go.
Yeah. We added cedar shakes to this area here. It was horizontal siding, but we felt again the contrast between the 2 different materials. So that's about it.
What kind of material is it?
It's a Hardy plank, a James Hardy siding, and they also have a cedar shake variation too.
Okay.
And that's all we've done.
Okay. Mr. Nguyen, your thoughts?
I'm very positive. We could have done this administratively because it's increasing, but I thought it would be nice to show this. And again, Mr. Brandon's work is outstanding. Mr. Mosier's site plan work is great. This was a really good team that the owners assembled. And when the owner says, I want to make it nicer, that's something that I think we need to kind of, I thought they needed the opportunity to present this. I'm very pleased with it, not only with that, with how they've presented. They've done an exceptional job.
Okay, very good. Any questions for the petitioner?
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mosier, Mr. Brandon, a lot of times developers run away from brick, and I think it's great anytime we can have them agree to add more brick to the buildings. It not only improves their look, but makes them more durable long-term, so I thank you for that.
Okay, any other questions?
Chairman,
Mr. Byer.
I move to approve the revised building elevation for Shelby Point Village, site plan number 15-29.
Support.
Moved by Byer, support by Turner. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Commissioner Byer.
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Commissioner Dalu.
Yes.
Commissioner DeSico.
Yes.
Commissioner Casale.
Yes.
Commissioner Bernardi.
Yes.
Secretary Moore.
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Good luck and thank you. Next, Planning Director's report.
Just a few items beyond the administrative report. We only had 13 sign applications last month, but a couple of other things. You'll see we've got the revised elevations for Tim Hortons. That's on the Myers site. You may recall when that was approved, you wanted elevations with all brick. And more, this is almost all brick. They did add Cold Stone as one of the co-tenants there, and it increased the footprint of the building by a few feet, but I didn't want to bring it back for site plan. But I wanted you to see the elevations. They agreed at the meeting to the enhanced elevations, and we received them. So I thought that was good news. You remember the auto pallet site on Hamlin Road? We approved that a while back. Well, they submitted an application for a property split, and as a result of that, they've effectively increased the area for the storage. And I've told them they have to come back for a modified plan because the area has substantially increased. I didn't feel comfortable doing that administrative because that was a special land use that you recommended approval and the board approved. That doesn't change the time frame. They still have to get it all finished by the 31st of October. So I've been communicating that to them.
Okay.
The last item, two items. Our regular meeting for the 27th, we're going to cancel it because today was a deadline and nothing came in. But we will have our first master plan meeting on a week from today. You got the notice, and that'll be in the lobby, lower level conference room downstairs. So we're meeting with a consultant tomorrow, whatever background material we can get assembled ahead of time, we'll get that too. But it's going to be more of an interactive sort of exercise. We want to get everybody involved in that, probably around a big table or something.
All right.
Okay? That's it.
Very good.
Thank you.
There's nothing else. Mr. Dalu?
Motion to adjourn, Mr.
There we go. Is there support? And supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjourned.